welcome to a new series of Strange but True. We shall start as we mean to go on with stories of ordinary people who find themselves caught up in extraordinary, inexplicable events. Later tonight, we'll be talking to a man who vividly recalls being shot by a Russian soldier in 1855. But we start with a subject that generated an enormous amount of interest in our first series. Faith healer Lorraine Ham works alongside GPs at her local clinic. Her patients think she's working wonders. Until next time, good night.
The response to the last programme was enormous. The credits hadn't gone up before the phone started to ring. By the Monday, letters were pouring in. Before the end of the week, the postman was actually bringing them in sacks.
Lorraine was overwhelmed by more than 20,000 letters. With the help of other healers, she began the long process of answering them all. One letter was from Christine Drake, who was desperate for help, but not for herself.
And the second son, Reese, is now...
I was watching Strange but True with my daughter Alison, and after the programme had finished, I thought I would contact Lorraine Ham to see if she could alleviate my daughter's pain.
I played football with the lads in my class 4 or 5 times a day for anything up to an hour sometimes.
They'll never win. They will, they always win. No, they won't. Come on, we're going to be late for school.
The pain in my back was so bad I started crying with it.
We had to put her to bed straight away, and we hoped that she would get better, but after a couple of days we had to take her to hospital.
Alison came to us complaining of chronic lumbar pain. This apparently was due to a stress fracture indicated here. These fractures cause considerable pain and inhibit spinal movement. I referred her to the Regional Specialist Spinal Centre for treatment and advice.
These small stress fractures seem to be causing the problem. The difficulty we face is that there's always a risk operating in the spinal area.
Can you do anything for her?
Well...
But she's in so much pain.
I'm afraid that at her age, it's just not worth the risk to do an operation.
What am I supposed to do?
Unfortunately, wait. We'll have to see how it develops. The best thing is to wait until you stop growing. Then it'll heal itself in time.
To be told that they couldn't do anything, well, just devastated.
Alison was only a teenager, and yet she was living the life of an elderly lady, almost a pensioner. She was going backwards and forwards to seeing specialists and doctors, and she just wasn't getting any better at all.
It really isn't well enough.
It affected my relationship with my friends because they were doing things which I would have liked to have done. One fall ruined the best part of my life.
You're going to lie down now, love? Yeah, my back's hurting me. I'll be up
After
soon.
suffering intense pain for 4 years, their best hope seemed to be Lorraine Ham.
When I found out my mum had actually written off to Lorraine Ham, I was surprised and hopeful.
Oh, I can see it's a bit painful.
When Alison first came to see me, she was in pain
close your
with her
eyes.
back.
Relax.
And I did healing work with her there and then.
I had my eyes closed and I could feel warmth on the areas that she was healing.
Now I'm just going to put my hand under your waist.
A sensation of all the pain drifting away.
When I say open your eyes, open your eyes.
The session over, Alison and Christine went home.
When the warmth had gone and the pain had gone with it, and I could move around without any pain, it just felt brilliant.
I thought it was marvellous. I thought it was a miracle. Alison was doing things that she couldn't do before, and I'd got my daughter back.
I phoned Christine, and she told me that Alison was now doing PE and feeling much better.
Oh!
And did she need to come and see me again? And of course I said no.
Good pass.
I had the feeling of having my life back to normal, and I felt like a normal person again, for the first time since I'd had the accident.
Yes.
Out of the mountains of letters received every day, Lorraine spotted one written on Oldham Football Club headed paper. Nicola Fleming had written to her on behalf of her injured husband, Craig. Craig's career was rising fast. He commanded a regular first-team place and played against Manchester United in the 1994 FA Cup semi-final.
Been a frustrating day so far for Mark Hughes. He's been very well watched by Craig Fleming.
Rumours were spreading that United were interested in buying the young Oldham star. Everything was going right. And then disaster struck.
I was playing and just getting the odd niggling deep in the groin and round the hip. Gradually it just got worse and worse as I played. I was playing about 60 minutes. That was me gone when I was shot.
When it actually crept upon us that he couldn't play football anymore because the injury was so bad, he was just devastated and depressed.
It was obvious to us that he was never going to overcome these problems unless he had surgery.
Craig was sent for an operation to repair a torn abdominal muscle.
I was getting a shooting pain across the top of the abdomen. And that cleared that up, but I was still left with this pain in the groin and the hip.
Tell me if you feel pain. Yeah. Out and turn it in. Now, toes up, foot up, heel in, leg up and across. Tell me. Anything?
Yeah, that's so.
This was a tremendous blow to the club because they had anticipated that he would, after this initial surgery, be back into the fray again.
He was just so fed up because he couldn't do anything about it.
Craig returned for a second operation, hoping it would clear his problems. It didn't.
I had the operation to release the tendon. I mean, that's released a lot of the pressure in there. There was still a pain. Specialists were saying that it wasn't a career-threatening injury, but, after 3 or 4 months, you naturally start worrying about, how serious is it?
So when we heard about Lorraine Ham, we thought, well, why not give it a go?
Craig finally got to see Lorraine.
I'd like to lie down.
He was obviously concerned because he wasn't able to play football.
Just relax.
If you're out for any length of time, there are other people coming up and taking your place. So on a mental, emotional level, there's always that worry, if you like.
I couldn't see what Lorraine was doing because I obviously had my eyes closed.
Now I'm going to touch your leg.
I got like a strange tingling sensation. Just felt like very strong pins and needles.
I want you to stretch your fingers and your toes.
I was expecting it,
When I say
to be pins and needles, but as soon as I got and opened my eyes, it just disappeared. I've never experienced anything like it before.
Lorraine told Craig to go home and relax for the weekend.
I arrived at the club on Monday, went down to the physio room as usual.
Right, Craig, show them what you can do under your own steam.
I was a bit reluctant to try it at first. I let it go all the way down.
Down.
Brought it back up and again it was no pain at all.
No pain?
No, none.
Really?
It's fine, yeah, no pain. So and then I was just doing them all day. I got flabbergasted by it.
Very impressive. And rest there. It was certainly exciting for all of us to realise that Craig was more enthusiastic, able to do more, and in fact looking forward to his training for a change.
propulsion. Go on, up in the air. That's it. Go.
Craig was improving, and it's quite exhilarating. And who cares what produces a result?
Now it's like, oh great, can't wait till next season. He's just so much happier, so much brighter about it all, and it's easy to live with.
I'd done all the physio, I'd been to see the surgeons. I'm absolutely convinced that Lorraine was the reason behind this pain going.
Skeptics of healing would say that all healers do is help people who already believe, but Lorraine is sure that her healing powers go further than that.
A person who is positive about his healing can improve more quickly than someone who isn't. But yet healing can still work with someone who is quite sceptical.
Lorraine also believes she can heal patients without them actually having to be there. This was the answer to the thousands of needy letters. And so the National Healing Centre in Shrewsbury was set up, and from here, absent healing is sent out.
We now have a network of healers all over the country who meditate regularly 3 times a day, and we focus on all the people who have written or telephoned and asked for help.
One such person was Ruth Dorrington, who'd badly hurt her hip.
I'm quite a serious club runner, and I train every day.
later, when I got injured, I had to cut my training right down. I was getting more frustrated, more depressed about not running properly and not racing. I wrote to as many people as I could and informed them that I'd put them on an absent healing list. Ruth was one of those people.
In her letter, Lorraine told Ruth she would be on the list for 6 weeks.
It did seem that suddenly progress was all in the right direction, and for once I could actually think that I was going to recover completely. At the end of the 6-week period, I felt like I'd reached a stage where I could get back into a proper training schedule and race seriously. Being on the healing list was important, and I don't think it was like a psychosomatic thing. I thought, if there's lots of healers, then all that energy's got to be good, got to heal me, and it seemed to do the trick.
Ruth came out of her injury running better than ever. In fact, she broke several club records, and she believes it's all thanks to Lorraine Ham.
The question that must be asked is, would Lorraine's patients have got better anyway? Reincarnation is an accepted part of several religions, and many individuals under hypnosis believe they're able to explore these past lives. Unfortunately, much of what they recount is uncheckable, and it's tempting to see more fantasy than fact in their vivid recollections of the great events of world history. But tonight's story is different. The past life in question turned out to be the life of an ordinary but well-documented individual. If there is any truth in reincarnation, then what you are about to see may well be the real thing.
Time has stopped. There's no more time. Time, like everything else in the universe, runs in circles. We've reached the top of the circle, and now we're going back. Back in time. You're drifting back in time. You're seeking memories. Memories of things that happened to you before you were born. In another time.
This is the story of Ray Bryant and his extraordinary journey into his past. He believes that under guided hypnosis, he can go back in time to past lives led hundreds of years ago.
Here at last is some sort of proof that there's something beyond.
I've been looking into past life memory cases for the last 20 years, and Ray Bryant's case stands out as one of the very best because there is such a wealth of evidence.
It all began in this unremarkable suburban home in Hertfordshire. Ray Bryant, a journalist, had come to research past life experiences. Andrew Selby welcomed him to join the regular regression group held in his living room.
Come in, Ray. How are you?
Andrew.
Fine, thank you.
The number of people in the group when Ray first started coming was around 12 to 15. It was quite a number of months before Ray started regressing properly and anything significant happened.
Leading the group was hypnotherapist Joe Keaton, who's led thousands of people into their past lives. Soon, the first tantalizing clue was to emerge.
I want you to go back. Back to the time before you were born. Keep drifting. Drifting back. You're there. You're there now.
After hypnotizing Ray, Joe began asking questions.
Where are you? What are you doing?
Crimea. Fighting.
What's your name?
Reuben.
Reuben who?
Reuben Starr.
As with many past life regressions, that vital detail, a full name, was missing. But Andrew Selby was intrigued. His diligent research was to open the door to Ray's past life.
I was down in the Guildhall Library. I'm trying to research on another regression. I was getting nowhere with it. So I thought I'd change over and see if I could find something on this soldier. Well, I looked in the index and there I found a book on the casualty roll of the Crimea, and it was all listed by regiments.
The chances of Selby finding a full name to match the fragment given under hypnosis seemed highly remote.
I turned over the pages and I nearly fell off my chair. There, right in front of me, was Reuben Stafford, a sergeant who'd fought in the Crimean. I just couldn't believe it.
One of the difficulties in assessing the evidence of past life memories is that individuals often recall being famous people or having lived lives that are well documented. The quite remarkable case of Ray Bryant is that he's remembering an individual who was so obscure that it was almost impossible to prove he lived, but that evidence eventually came to light.
Armed with Reuben's full name, Andrew Selby began the painstaking business of piecing together the soldier's life. He discovered that he'd signed up aged 20, that he'd been wounded in the attack on the quarries, and his discharge papers stated that he'd been a very good soldier.
We've got a lot of information here about Reuben. What are you going to tell him?
Nothing. It's a chance to test him out. If he is this young soldier, then he'll remember the details anyway, won't he?
For Keaton, this would prove to be one of the most important past life sessions he'd ever led. Would Ray Bryant know the final part of Reuben's surname?
I want you to go back to the year 1855. It is 1855. Bring out your memories. What's your name and rank? Hey, you! What's your name and rank?
My name's Stafford, Sergeant, 47th Lancashire Regiment of Foot.
7th Lancashire Regiment of Foot.
The group was astounded.
I have never researched into the Crimea. It's not a subject that has interested me. And I have no army background in my family at all.
So if Ray didn't know anything about the Crimea, where did the identity of that obscure foot soldier come from? Richard Wiseman, a psychologist, believes the explanation may lie with cryptoamnesia.
When we're young, we pick up far more information than we realise, information from books, films, other people. That's in our memories, but we've just forgotten about it. The hypnotist comes along, suggests we've lived a previous life, and all that information comes out. And in the right setting, the hypnotist and the subject might be able to convince each other that really is evidence for previous lives.
And tell me, where are you exactly?
We're back in camp now.
But it's hard to explain the wealth of accurate detail provided by Ray Bryant as he went on to describe the life of Reuben Stafford, a young soldier who fought the Russians far from home on the borders of the Black Sea.
We've tested him against the evidence, we've tried to trick him, and we haven't been able to break him out of the character. If Ray was acting, we'd have caught him out. If it wasn't genuine, if it was imagination, we'd have caught him out. So my belief is that we've got a genuine phenomenon here.
Where are you? In battle?
The following reconstructions are based on tapes of the actual regression sessions.
They come at us just over a little ridge.
Attack! They're there, right in front of us, looking at us, hardly a rifle's length away.
Are they armed?
Aye.
So you have to be quick.
Quicker than them.
How old were they?
Just chaps like us.
What colour uniforms are the Russians wearing?
Grey. The grey ghosts. Just come and go. They know the country.
It's very much like a dream, but this time you are conscious all the time and you're watching the action. You know what that dream is leading to.
Keaton was intrigued by Reuben's injury to his left hand. Records show he was injured in the Battle of the Quarries in 1855. Ray was still ignorant of the details, but would he recall them under hypnosis?
Is this a good day to talk to you?
Keep up, keep up. Wait for the order. Advance!
The attack on the quarries on the 7th of May 1855 was part of the Battle of Sebastopol. It took the lives of hundreds of British troops.
I had this sudden sensation in the hand. I couldn't imagine what was happening because while I was aware that something had happened to that hand, I could feel no pain. And yet I knew that Reuben was experiencing pain.
Joe was so concerned at Ray's state that he moved him on in time.
It's later now. You're not in the quarry now. It's later that night. Where are you?
I don't know what happened. I got shot by Russians.
Who's looking after you?
Florrie's ladies. They have aprons and caps. White caps.
How long have you been there, in the war?
1 year. 1 year now.
Are you missing home?
I miss me wife and Babby. They write to me. She says all's well.
Well, that's the main thing, isn't it?
Aye.
Andrew Selby's researches didn't finish with the war. He pursued Reuben Stafford through the 19th century, but no trace was found until the last day of his life. A death certificate provided the last vital piece of evidence with which to test Ray Bryant. Reuben Stafford had ended up as a lighterman on the Thames, alone, his family gone. A forgotten soldier, down on his luck. Joe Keaton decided to take Ray back to the day of Reuben's death.
It's the 2nd of April, 1879. Where are you?
I'm looking down into water. It's welcoming. Calm.
With no clues, Bryant had accurately reconstructed the last moments of Reuben Stafford's life and death. Violent suffocation by drowning. A suicide.
Just for the record, believers in reincarnation now reckon you are reborn about 50 years after you die. We'll be back after a gap of precisely 1 week. Good night.